Hey, welcome to another video. In this episode we'll be painting this environment from scratch. I will also show you one really cool way how to add color to a black and white composition. So stay tuned till the end to see how the final image turned out. My name is Victor, I'm an illustrator and concept artist, and I really hope you guys will enjoy this video and find it helpful. Alright, let's start. So the main difference for this image is the approach I took when working with color, and for some of you it might be a bit simpler this way as well. I start with the sketch as usual, doing some really rough lines, trying to assemble the scene, and when I kinda have an idea where this is going, I can proceed and block in the values for the main elements. Now this part is really important because we want to try and compose the image nicely with just a few values, and we'll worry only about the shapes for now, without the form. As you split your elements in a few values, keep things as readable as possible, and most importantly is not how accurate is the value but the relationship between them, for now, because later on you can adjust that as much as you want. Also, don't forget to separate your value groups into different layers, because this will come in handy later on when you're gonna add shadows and light. So now all I'm mainly thinking about is how to arrange these shapes in a very nice compositional way, have a focal point, have some maybe directional lines, have big, small and medium shapes, and arrange everything nicely so it has a very graphic look to it and it reads well. Okay, so now we're gonna work on the shadows, which basically means you have to establish where your light is coming from and then glaze on top of your main layer with a darker value so you can show clearly that that part is hidden from the light. And at the same time, in this case, I also start to work on the form as well. So when I want to show that an edge is not sharp, maybe it's like a slow turn, then I'm gonna use a slightly less opacity on the brush. Alright, so the more time you will spend here, the more information you'll be able to add about the form, about how the planes turn and so on. Now let me show you quickly how the layers work, and it's simple really. You just have to have your main layer, the one that we created in the beginning with one value, and then two clipping layers on top of it. So one for the shadows and one for the light, and that's it. It's as simple as that. This way it's kind of a bit of a structured approach to working with light, shape and form. And really for some of you it might be easier to grasp this type of approach because you don't have to think about the color, the edges, and you only focus on the light, on the value matrix, how the composition works, and the shapes and the relationship between them and so on. It's still a lot of things to think about, but it's way less than painting directly with color. Alright, so talking about the color, I'm gonna slow down the video a bit so I can show you how the layers work. It's very straightforward really. You just have to take the layers you've been working in, click the lock button so you paint only within whatever is already on that layer, and just apply color on top of it with a normal brush and a normal setting of the layers. Because I don't really like to work with blending layers like multiply, overlay, soft light and so on. It's really easier for me to just control the color I choose by myself, and this way I can just paint on top of all these layers once again, but this time with color. And I think it really took me about 10 to 15 minutes to put basic color on the whole composition. And also I guess it would be really useful for you to check the image in black and white time to time, just to make sure that you didn't mess up the layers that you already created in the black and white composition sketch phase, right? So whenever you apply a color, make sure it's kind of the same layer, at least it's the same consistency between each other, right? If the relationship is the same. That's very important. And this way you can add even color variation. It's very easy because you will actually paint only on top of already what you've been doing so far, so you have the same brush strokes available and everything really works out much easier in this case. So I've pretty much covered all the layers, all the black and white layers with color right now, and it's kind of simple, kind of basic still, and not very unified. That's why we're gonna spend time and add some atmospheric perspective, work on the texture, adjust the values, and add a bit more information for the focal point, make sure there is a balance, make sure we can lead the viewer's eye towards our focal point, and so on. So I really wonder, what do you guys think about this approach? Does it seem a little bit easier to start with a black and white composition and then apply color on top of it? Or do you guys still prefer to work with color right away in a little bit more painterly way, like, you know, oils, acrylics and stuff like that? For me personally, I think this is a bit more structured, thus a little bit easier to grasp, to digest, and you can plan things a bit better. And in my case, if I see that the composition works in black and white and I have a really nice clean graphic look, then I have more assurance that I will put color on top of it and it will be just fine. And if you want to learn faster and understand the process better, I will also upload the full uninterrupted video with more commentary on my Patreon page. The link is in the description, and thank you so much for considering it. So at this point is more of the same. I'm adding more information for the focal point, working on those materials, textures, and adding some color accents here and there, trying to strike a balance between busy areas and areas where the viewers can rest their eyes. And I'm also starting to think about the edges. You don't want to leave your edges being, you know, mechanical, either like soft or like really hard. You want to add some interesting details here and there as well. Just don't make it monotone, try to have some variety here also. Alright, let's have a look at the final image. I've also added a character for storytelling and worked more on some details, and that's it pretty much. Thank you so much for watching till the end. I hope you enjoyed this video. Thanks to those who joined the Patreon, and I hope to see you in the next one coming soon.